Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. I want to get this out right now because sometimes when you do a video, if you don't expound, sometimes a person can misconstrue what you're saying. But at the same time, nobody wants to sit here and watch a 1 hour video. So I'm going to put out the positives right now about David Benavidez. I think David Benavidez is on his way to being great. I think David Benavidez is a problem for anyone. I would favor him against the majority of the fighters out there between 168 and 175. 200 pounds, I don't know. That's cruiserweight is that's pretty heavy. But we know that he probably walks around maybe closer to 200. You understand? But with this newfound discipline that he has, I don't think he'll be walking around that heavy anymore. But that being said, David Benavidez is on his way. There's certain characteristics that I think contribute to making a great fighter. I'm going to go over those. So I just want to make sure you guys understand exactly what I'm saying. I don't think that he's on PEDs. I feel him getting that decision, before I saw the scorecards, I didn't have too much of an issue with it. I thought that the fight probably going to be close because of Plant winning the early rounds, Benavidez coming on rallying, probably from the midpoint on. I figured Plant probably picked up maybe one round, maybe two, but more like one. But I also figured there'd probably be some 10-8 rounds because Benavidez, he was putting some heat on him. But when they put the scorecards out, kind of ruined it for me, left a sour taste in my mouth. And it made me feel like, damn, Plant just didn't stand a chance, all right? But that being said, there's no argument about Benavidez winning the fight against Caleb Plant. But there are some things that we need to really sit here and talk about. So first and foremost, I want to go ahead and say this, right? Stop the bandwagonism, right? Get out of here with that, all right? Now, David Benavidez is on his way. But he's not there yet, man. Now, that's not my opinion. I'm going to say not only my opinion. He said it. He needs to have the big names, all right? When I sit here and hear people saying, oh, he's great, he's this, he's that. Hey, he passes the eye test. He does. He beat Caleb Plant. That's a big victory. It really is. But there's more work to be done. And even he said that. He knows his resume is soft, but Caleb Plant, that's a big nugget to have on your resume. But after Caleb Plant, the thing is, what's next for him? All right? He needs more. He needs more, especially for 168. But there's not much out there. Excuse me, the fight he wants. I'm telling you, he's not going to get the Canelo fight. Right? I keep talking about it. I keep joking about, somebody putting duck sauce on the fried rice. Let me tell you something. Canelo's not afraid of anybody. But Canelo's out here trying to get paid and retire. Simple. Now, if David Benavidez brings a lot of money to the table, which I think this pay-per-view performance helps him. But if Benavidez comes down and fights a guy like Morrell or an Andre or even Jamal Charlo, I know people are like, oh, no. Look, we know what Jamal's gone through. Mental health and everything. But Jamal's talking about fighting damn at 168, trying to ask Bivol to come down to 168. So Jamal seems to be comfortable fighting between 160 and 168. So it looks like the 168 fight between Jamal and Benavidez probably maybe early 2024 is probably a realistic fight if Jamal can get active. So while I'm talking about Jamal, I'm going to go ahead and say this. Now, I just did a video. And I put a question mark at the end. That's what people, man, if you got to read. I didn't put an exclamation point where I said, basically, can Jamal. As a matter of fact, let me just show you what I put up, man. Where is that damn video, man? Oh, Lord have mercy, man. But that's what I like. I like to see the conversations. So let me see. What did I put here that got everybody going? Let's just, I can't stand when these damn things be playing. But I'm going to show you what I put up. And I'm going to explain I'm gonna explain because it's different when it's like texting somebody. You don't really get an opportunity to have a conversation. You just see what's written, and you can interpret it the wrong way. So let me bring this back here. Okay. Where is it? Okay, so I don't know if I can show you that. Right here. Jamal Charlo could be the guy to defeat David Benavidez. Well, let me show you what it was supposed to be because the damn... okay. So the damn question mark was left off, so I understand why people started to lose their minds. But I put the question mark right here. So I forgot to put it up. I put the question mark right here. So I forgot to put it actually on in the video itself. But that being said, that's why I had the question mark there in the title, saying Jamal Charlo versus Benavidez. Is 168 too big for Charlo? Who wins this fight? It's a strike-up conversation. But I will say this. Caleb Plant, in my opinion, I think Caleb Plant's a one-arm fighter. Simple. But that one arm makes him extremely dangerous. Now, same thing with Miguel Cotto, Oscar De La Hoya, all right? For all these left-handed fighters, man. You know, these guys who are left-handed and converted orthodox, right? They make noise, okay? So I'm not saying that I'll tell you what. What I'm saying is this. Jamal Charlo has two arms. He hits hard with both arms. Now, he is the smaller guy. Don't get me wrong. He's smaller than Benavidez. No doubt about that. But I think he has enough power. He has two functioning arms. And he hits hard with both punches. He can fight mid-range. He can fight on the outside. He can fight on the inside. He can fight off the ropes. I just think Jamal Charlo would probably give a better fight than the one-arm Caleb Plant. There's only so much you can do with your jab, only so much you can do with your hook, only so much you can do with your uppercut from one arm. All right? Guys like Miguel Cotto had a strong right hand too, but it was everything with his left. De La Hoya, the right hand could get your attention, but it was the left. But they had a different type of power in that left hand. Caleb Plant, he has some power, but he doesn't have that De La Hoya power in that left hand, that Miguel Cotto power in that left hand. Okay? So that's all I'm saying. So for David Benavidez, when I look at it, it's like, okay, he's on his way. But for me, he needs stiffer competition, right? Now, don't get me wrong. Caleb Plant, right as of right now, he got Canelo, David Benavidez, and Caleb Plant. He's the number 3 guy. He clipped him, right? That speaks volumes. But can Caleb Plant beat a Morrell? We're getting to a situation here with David Benavidez where we can have a conversation kind of like about Tank Davis. We all know, I think the majority of people feel Tank Davis is the man at 135. But resume-wise, you know, probably needs a few more bigger names on it. We know what he did going across 3 weight divisions. But people are like, hey, he needs a Tank. He needs a Shakur Stevenson. You know, this Ryan fight is great. So that's what they're looking at. He needs a Haney, right? So Tank Davis is on his way. David Benavidez, in my opinion, he got rid of Plant. He needs to clip a Morrell. He needs to get in and fight some of these other big names at 168. And definitely needs the Canelo. I honestly feel David Benavidez, if he can get through another big name, then I would say, you know what, at 168 pounds, because I think he's great at 168, but I'll have no hesitation saying it. At 168, he passes the eye test. Now, when I talk about things, now this is me now, because we're talking about characteristics that make a fighter great, right? And I'm just going to tell you, you know, I do a lot of reading like a lot of you do. But when I think about characteristics that make a fighter great, and this is in or outside of 168 for David Benavidez, and I apply this to all fighters, right? When I'm going to say this person's great, you may see me say, oh, this person's a monster, or oh, this person's a problem. I don't really just sit there and call somebody great. But we're talking about quickness, right? That gives you the best chance of being successful in the ring. It's quickness. Does David Benavidez have quickness? Yes, he does. Punching accuracy. Can you hit a moving target? Can David Benavidez hit a moving target? Watching him fight Caleb Plant, was he hitting a moving target those first 6 rounds? but he was touching him, right? But he was missing some shots badly. But that's because Caleb Plant is elite. But then he started to catch up to him, and he was catching the moving target. But the moving target had to slow down a little bit. But I'll still come out and say, you know what? David Benavidez, his accuracy, punching accuracy, is good. And it deserves to be respected. So I'll give him a check mark for punching accuracy. Punching power, there's no argument there. Obviously, something special with his hands. I always talk about any fighter, right? It's not just Benavidez. You know, one of my partners there, you know, we all have discussions, so we don't get offended in here. We know it's a lot of respect on this channel. But felt that I was being a little biased against David Benavidez. It's like, nah, it's not like that. You know what I'm saying? But it's hard for me to just call him great. Now, at 168, it looks like he's probably going to be the man. But when we talk about David Benavidez and his punching power, right, there's absolutely no argument there. But the thing about it, right, I always bring up any fighter who has Heredia in their corner, Victor Conti. I even talked about Caleb Plant having Conti, Devin Haney having Conti, guys having Alex Ariza, and this Usman Sajjad guy, right? My thing is, out of all the strength and conditioning coaches out there, why go out there and get involved with these guys? And I'm not just talking about Benavidez. I'm talking about all these elite boxers, our favorite fighters, who are mingling with these guys. You know what I'm saying? I did a video on Yugas, Jordanis Yugas. Now, none of these guys are all passing tests. Some aren't enrolled in VADA, some are. But the bottom line is, there's nothing that's come out to say someone failed a PED test, right? So they're in the clear. So we got to give them the benefit of the doubt. And I always say that there's no proof. But I will say, I put a hairy eyeball on any fighter who's using a Heredia, Alex Ariza, Conti, Usman Sajjad, who's using them in his camp. Same thing where I talk about Conor Ben. I talk about Tommy Fury, Tyson Fury, right? Anybody involved with these guys, I mean, that's the Usman Sajjad side of things. There's a lot more fighters. I just don't know who all is involved with Usman Sajjad. But what I'm getting at is, why? What advantage are you getting from working with these guys? You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying. And I really wish a guy like David Benavidez had no interaction with that guy Heredia. Just like I wish Plant didn't feel the need to have Conti on his team and this whole snack thing and all that, all these different fighters who use it. But at the end of the day, they're passing the test. There's no proof of any wrongdoing. So we got to say, look, everything's in the clear. We give them the green light, and we got to give them our support. So they get my support, but they're also going to get my hairy eyeball too, right? So it is what it is. Now, when we talk about punching power, look, man, to have that explosive strength, weights don't create that, all right? That's just, punches are born. And you've heard that saying before, I'm going to say it again. So you got to give them the checkbox there. Defense. Look, some people were sitting there calling him a brawler. I got agitated. So anyone who thinks I'm against David Benavidez, you're bugging. David Benavidez, I got upset at the cornballs, one in particular, who was trying to boil him down and dumb him down and say he's just a brawler. Yo, this man's not Ricardo Mayorga. I talked about his defense, the head movement, how he's able to, when he gets in close, rattle off those combinations, step aside, turn his opponent, use angles. And what you saw in this fight this weekend, the man, the first few rounds was looking like a boxer puncher. He was boxing, he was jabbing, going to the body, trying to throw shots. He was trying to get in, get out, work at the mid-range, close the distance. But he was very aware of Caleb Plant's speed, punching accuracy, and the fact that he didn't want to get caught with that big hook. So that showed me that David Benavidez, like I said, is more than a brawler. But he can brawl, and he does like a dogfight. But don't just dumb him down to being a brawler. Okay? So when it comes to defense, you got to give him some credit, man. You know, you got to sit there, man, and get your head off the line. And he's able to do that. And he's able to parry punches. He's able to catch and counter. He's able to do a lot. He's able to do a lot of things. It just, I think sometimes it may go unnoticed because everyone's just looking more or less waiting for him to react defensively. No, there's a lot of little things that he does in that ring. that caused me to check the box when it comes to his defense. Now, the fifth thing is conditioning. Now, again, doesn't matter who he has as a strength and conditioning coach, the man puts the work in. And I respect anyone to do it. Matter of fact, with me, I'll tell you, I was 277 maybe 2.5 months ago. I'm 243. By the time my kids get out of school, the plans would be 220, 215. But, you know, diet's important too. So when I look at him in the gym 3 times a day, you know what I'm saying? For the last how many months? You know how hard that is, man? It takes a kind of discipline, man. Your body. I went out to run today, man. The first mile and a half is all uphill, man. It's crazy. And I normally run that, and then it levels out. Then I run like another 3 miles. Then I jog back home. It's like another mile. So it's like a 5-mile run, but that last mile home is all downhill because I'm coming up the hill initially. But my knees, man, today, that crap was hurting. So I ran the first mile and a half all uphill, and then, you know, I walked for an hour and a half after. So it was about close to 2 hours, you know what I'm saying? A little less than 2 hours. But for what these guys are putting themselves through, that's a whole nother level, man. And I get it. They know how to recover, ice baths, everything else. But when you're out there and you have to do it, let me tell you something. That's what discipline is. Doing something you don't want to do like you love it. And that's what they do. And that's why he had success this weekend. All right? He's the better fighter. So the fifth thing is conditioning. Check the box on his conditioning. This man gets stronger as the fight goes on. And I really think it's because of the work that he puts in, the supplement strategy, and everything else. I just think David Benavidez checks the box. Discipline. He has the discipline. No need to talk about that. Guts. This man has the guts. He's calling out fighters. He wants to fight the best. They don't want to fight him. Right? It is what it is. There's been, as you know, we know boxing, the politics and all that. But the bottom line is he wants to test himself. You know what I'm saying? He took a deal with Caleb Plant. For those of you who think I'm biased, look, I pay attention to everything. And just a note. I was rooting for Caleb Plant because I didn't like the fact that there was talks about the whole thing with that whole drama. So I was rooting for Plant because of that. But I always said I favor Benavidez, but I'm rooting for Plant. But at the end of the day, we're talking about guts. Who can question this man's guts, man? You know what I mean? Courage. All these boxers. To be a boxer, you got to have courage. You may get in a fight where you're a little bit like, damn, boy, I got to be careful with this fighter. But that don't mean you lose courage. What happened to the first 30 fights you had? The first 200 amateur fights you had? 50 amateur fights you had? You didn't have courage then? Now you come in there and know you're in there with a real threat. And you're apprehensive or you're careful, you're cautious. Now you don't have guts? Get out of here with that. These guys have guts. So cut it off. That don't mean somebody won't put some duck sauce on the fried rice. That don't mean they don't have guts. That just means they're like, yo, let me be strategic in how I'm managing my career. Then intelligence. Look, man, that's why they call it the sweet science. You can't get involved in science if you don't have intelligence. Boxing is science. So for me, David Benavidez, man, he checks the box in all those areas, right? So I think those 8 things make a great fighter, and I think he's a great fighter. Now, at 160, so at 168, he's definitely a great fighter at 168. Now, there's different aspects of being a great fighter. These 8 things I just mentioned, these 8 characteristics, that makes a fighter great. Now, you take a fighter who's great because they have those things and you put them in a weight division. David Benavidez has proven that at 168, he probably is the greatest, or is when he has is a matter of time before he proves himself as the greatest at 168. But him being one of the greatest fighters of this era, hold your horses. A lot of guys who get dubbed as one of the greatest fighters of these eras, those are guys who are able to go up and down weight classes. Really, for the most part, up weight classes and win titles and dominate in those divisions. Now, if he can go up to 175 and beat a guy like Bivol, I understand they sparred together, you know what I mean? I watch the videos just like y'all. I read articles just like y'all. And I listen to what he talks about, especially how he says Bivol knows what happened. He said Bivol knows what happened in those sparring matches. So I tell you this, if he can beat Bivol, I tell you what, he's a great one of the greatest fighters of this era. Tell you that right now, because Bivol's a man. And then if he goes and fights Butev, now we're talking about a whole nother level of greatness. Okay? So, look, all I'm saying is stop the bandwagonism. People already sit there and gave him the crown as the next Julio Cesar Chavez. How? Y'all can't go out there and give that man the crown when he don't even want the crown. He's telling his own words, he has more work to do. And I'm telling he has more work to do. But does he pass the eye test? Oh yeah, he passes the eye test. Do I think he's going to go on to be one of the best of this era? All the indicators are saying yeah. You understand? All the key indicators are pointing the direction that this man is going to go on to be something special. He's already showing signs of it. You know, I always talk about Floyd Mayweather, talk about De La Hoya, talk about Zab Judah. I talk about when you first seen those guys in like their first 10 fights. And you're watching that and you're saying to yourself, it's Shane Mosley, right? You're like, Sugar Ray Leonard. You're watching that and you're saying to yourself, what the hell is going on here? Like, you can't believe the things that the fighter's doing in the ring. Like, you can see the talent. And with David Benavidez, you can see the talent, right? And the one thing I really liked about him is that he showed, he's always been a humble guy, but he chose the villain role, and after the fight, he cleared that up. Actually, I think that last press conference before the fight, you could tell he doesn't like people seeing him as an a-hole or mean or a nasty person, or he doesn't like the villain role because that's not who he is. And I hope going forward he'll see he doesn't need to be like that. You know what I'm saying? He don't need to be like that. Okay? Let your brother be that way. Let your dad be that way. You just go in there, be like Danny Garcia, the quiet man, and handle business. Because people are behind David Benavidez 100%. But that being said, I'm not a bandwagonist, but I'm a realist, and I'm telling you, he's on his way, and I think very soon he's going to get an opportunity to prove that. It just probably had to wait to 2024 to get that Canelo fight, if he even gets that fight. But he's going to have to fight some other guys. He's going to dominate them. He should dominate them, and we'll basically be talking about him like we are now. He's already in a position kind of like a Jaron Ennis, but a much better spot because of him stepping up and passing the test against Caleb Plant. But like Jaron Ennis is right there. He wants a shot at Spence. He wants a shot at Crawford, and he's not getting that. David Benavidez is right there. He got Plant, but he wants Canelo. He wants a Bivol, and he has to wait till he gets those. So he's gonna have to fight someone. Maybe he fights Andre. Who knows who he fights? But what I'm saying is, he may have to fight another, maybe an A- fighter, maybe a B+ fighter, before he gets the opportunity to be put in the queue to get the A+, the Bivols, the Butevs, the Canelos. And that's just the reality of the situation. So that being said, look, man, Benavidez is on his way to saying he's a great fighter of this era. Not yet, but soon. He's on the way. Maybe next time. Almost. Hold your horses. But if you ask me, what do I think is going to happen with him in the next year? I'd say this time next year, man, he would have clipped maybe 2 more opponents, and he'll be frustrated. That's what I see happening with David Benavidez. I think he's going to be frustrated because basically he's going to have a lot of lateral accomplishments. You understand? He wants to keep moving up the ladder. He doesn't want to reverse, so he's going to be kind of moving laterally at 168 because he's not going to be able to bubble up and get the big fights, which I think there's just really one left for him, and that's Canelo. So that's my prediction. But I don't think he's going to sit around and wait either. I think he will bubble up and go to 175 because that's the other thing. A lot of these guys do a lot of sparring, man. They kind of know what the other person brings to the table and what they can and can't handle. And David Benavidez, he knows what the big boys at 175 can do. He's been in the ring with most of them. And he knows what he can do. And I think he's going to be interested to see if he gets an opportunity to step up and fight
for a title at 175. But that being said, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans. Let's stop the bandwagonism, right? Let's just be real about it. He's on his way. He's not there yet. By his own admittance, he still has some more work to do. The problem is, nobody probably want to give him that work because he wanted the big names and he can't get them. And he probably won't get them after this damn performance against Caleb Plant. But it's not his fault, all right? That being said, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans, all 7 continents. In the breeze.